Fear is not the enemy you think it is. It's a mirror, and when you stare long enough, you begin to see something that stares back. The moment you stop running, you realize it's never been chasing you. It's been waiting. When you face fear, your body moves before your mind understands. The amygdala hijacks everything. Your breath shortens, your pulse spikes. Your pupils widen as if the world must suddenly be consumed in detail. It's the body's betrayal. The ancient circuitry that once saved you from predators now traps you in cycles of imagined threat. You call it anxiety, but it's evolution whispering that survival has always been more important than peace. You can meditate, breathe deeply, repeat affirmations, but your nervous system doesn't care about your philosophies. It only cares about detection and defense. Even calmness becomes camouflage dot. So tell me, when your body reacts before your thoughts even begin, who exactly is in control? Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the performance of control in its presence. You stand before what terrifies you, but inside, the same biochemical storms rage. Dopamine rewards your endurance, adrenaline sharpens your focus, and cortisol poisons you slowly. Society praises this as bravery, yet it's only the illusion of mastery over instinct. The soldier, the public speaker, the survivor, they all tremble. What we admire is not strength, but the convincing mask of it. Courage is fear pretending to be purpose. And still, you keep pretending, because to admit fear's permanence would mean admitting how little of yourself you actually own. When your courage is just fear wearing your face, how long before it starts to look more like you than you do? Therapists call it exposure therapy, gradual confrontation with what terrifies you until the fear loses its power. But what they don't tell you is that safety never truly returns. Each exposure rewires your brain, yes, but it also chips away at your illusion of protection. You become more tolerant, not more secure. Fear doesn't disappear. It learns to coexist, whispering in quieter tones. You learn to walk through the fire, but your skin still remembers the heat. Progress, in this context, is simply learning to stand in danger without flinching. So if safety is only a temporary illusion, and healing means losing the comfort of it forever, what exactly are you recovering into? The human brain is not built for peace. It craves stimulation, novelty, tension. The same neural circuits that react to fear also reward attention. Your threat response becomes addictive. The anticipation of danger floods you with dopamine before anything even happens. You scroll news feeds, chase deadlines, pick at emotional wounds, not to suffer, but to feel alive. Chronic stress becomes your baseline, and silence feels unbearable because the mind equates stillness with death. You call this anxiety, but it's dependency and neurological hunger for the very chemicals that terrify you. You are not afraid of fear. You are afraid of its absence. So when you finally find calm, will you call it peace or withdrawal? Under the weight of fear, the boundaries of self begin to blur. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of identity, dims, while the limbic system seizes control. You become reactive, instinctive, almost animal. This is why panic feels like possession, a temporary erasure of the I. Psychologists call it ego dissolution under stress, a neurological mercy that allows survival to override reflection. But survival doesn't care about meaning. It only cares about persistence. And when it's over, you return, shaken and hollow, unsure if the self that reappeared is the same one that vanished. If every confrontation with fear rewrites you, then how much of you survives the process of living? You spend your life constructing systems of control routines, goals, philosophies, believing that structure will protect you from chaos. But control is only a cognitive illusion, a thin veil over entropy. Behavioral psychologists call it the locus of control, the belief that outcomes depend on your actions. Yet even those with a strong internal locus crumble when randomness intrudes. One diagnosis, one accident, one betrayal, and the scaffolding of certainty collapses. Fear reminds you that life does not answer to your willpower. It never did. All control is borrowed from chaos, and chaos always reclaims its loan. When the structure you built to contain fear becomes the thing that cracks beneath it, where will you stand? Avoidance feels rational. You tell yourself that stepping back preserves sanity, that distance equals maturity. In reality, it's a slow erosion of psychological resilience. Avoidance behavior rewires the brain's fear circuits. Each escape reinforces the idea that the threat was too great to endure. The amygdala learns to expand its boundaries. Safety zones shrink until the entire world feels hostile. You begin to worship comfort as a god, mistaking numbness for peace. Every unspoken word, every path not taken, becomes another altar to fear. Avoidance doesn't protect you, it domesticates you. If you've spent years perfecting the art of retreat, can you even remember what forward ever felt like? What you fear in others often reveals what you refuse to face in yourself. Psychoanalytic theory calls this projection, the mind's defense against inner conflict by assigning it to the outside world. You condemn arrogance, weakness, cruelty, not because you are untouched by them, but because you sense their shadow stirring within. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of exposure, they all orbit the same gravitational truth. You see in others the reflection of what you most despise in your own psyche. Every accusation, every moral certainty, is a mirror turned outward. When every monster you name turns out to share your reflection, who exactly have you been running from? Freud called it the compulsion to repeat, the unconscious drive to relive what once wounded you, as if pain could be mastered through familiarity. You keep returning to the same patterns, relationships that humiliate, ambitions that destroy, fears that define. It feels accidental, but it's not. The psyche reopens old wounds because they are known territory. Terror becomes routine, and routine feels safe. This is how trauma seduces. It offers predictability disguised as self-sabotage. Each cycle feels like progress, yet you only circle deeper into the labyrinth. Familiar pain becomes identity, and identity becomes prison. If you keep reading the very thing you fear, are you trying to heal it or to stay loyal to it? Intense self-reflection can reveal truths too vast for comfort. Psychologists call this existential anxiety, the confrontation with meaninglessness, mortality, and the fragility of identity. As you dissect your fears, motivations, and desires, the layers of your mind begin to fold in on themselves. Insight starts to feel like fracture. Understanding becomes overload. Every thought about thought spirals into an infinite regress, an intellectual hall of mirrors where certainty dissolves. You tell yourself you seek clarity, but clarity exposes the raw absence. Beneath the veil of self-doubt, if seeing the machinery of your mind strips you of the familiar solidity of being. Do you possess knowledge or only the terror of knowing too much? Humans are wired for connection, yet social interactions are mines of unconscious terror. Social psychologists call it fear of negative evaluation, the dread that your every action will be judged, dissected, or rejected. In every glance, word, or silence, your mind rehearses catastrophes, rewrites conversations, imagines betrayal. The irony is brutal. You fear others, yet the real labyrinth is inside your own perception. Each encounter reinforces that you are both actor and audience, trapped in a performance with no exit. The more you try to navigate it, the more tangled the paths become. If every smile, frown, or glance is a potential trap, how can you ever trust the world or yourself? Regret is the echo of choices you cannot undo. Cognitive psychology shows that humans ruminate on past decisions more than any present moment, feeding an endless loop of what-ifs. Each memory, every misstep, becomes a seed that sprouts invisible roots into your present, poisoning spontaneity with hesitation. Fear and regret entwine, creating a twin specter that haunts thought and action alike. You try to plan to avoid repeating mistakes, but in doing so, you surrender freedom to the chains of memory. The mind, once your instrument, becomes your jailer. If the past is a permanent cell you carry inside yourself, how can you ever truly stand free? Anxiety is often labeled a disorder, but psychologists recognize it as a pervasive feedback loop, a state that sustains itself through attention and anticipation. The strange truth is that anxiety can feel familiar, even comforting, because its rhythms structure your perception. The body's tension becomes habitual. The mind's vigilance becomes routine. You call it suffering, but the repetition of dread is a secret anchor, a way to feel alive, to occupy a space you can predict. To let it go is to confront emptiness, to face a mind without its scaffolding. If the tension that terrifies you also keeps you tethered to existence, do you dare release it, or would you vanish without it? When you observe your own fear, a strange loop emerges, the mind watching itself. Metacognition can enhance awareness, but it also amplifies anxiety, turning perception into a hall of mirrors. Every thought about fear generates another fear. Every reflection folds upon itself until clarity becomes indistinguishable from madness. Cognitive scientists call this meta-anxiety, anxiety about anxiety itself. You are trapped in recursion. The deeper you analyze, the more the boundaries between observer and observed dissolve. Your consciousness becomes a labyrinth, where each exit leads to another corridor of dread. If every attempt to understand yourself only deepens the maze, can you ever find a way out, or are you meant to wander forever? Now you see, fear is not a hurdle, a visitor, or a phase. It is the ground beneath your feet, the pulse in your veins, the lens through which reality fractures. Every thought, every habit, every attempt at mastery circles back to the same truth. You are both the prisoner and the warden of your own mind. There is no victory over terror, only layers of illusion you temporarily inhabit. The more you confront, the more the self you thought you held slips, revealing the infinite architecture of your own fragility. And in that reflection, staring back at you with uncanny familiarity, you realize the final question that never resolves itself. When the mirrors stop echoing, who or what remains to call it you?